Hi friends, I'm Karyn, and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. Last time we spoke about what we can learn from the French about dining and meals. The French are a fascinating culture, and I think they have done a lot of things right when it comes to food. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how we can apply the principles and things we've learned from the French in the previous episode. So number one, the French have a healthy relationship with food. I think it's so important for us to realize that cutting out certain food groups is never going to be healthy. There are healthy carbohydrates, there are healthy fats, and there are healthy proteins, and there's healthy fiber. So focusing on having a healthy relationship with food, being balanced, not depriving ourselves of treats, of dessert, of hearty food, sometimes rich food, nutritious food, it's so important. We need to eat well, and we need to have enough calories that our body doesn't go into starvation mode and hold on to the weight. We need our bodies to know that we're eating enough, so they can focus on doing the repair work that needs doing, the detoxing that needs doing, giving us energy throughout the day, helping our brains work effectively, building muscle. So eating well and eating nutritious food and having a healthy relationship with food is key. Not being afraid of certain food groups, not being afraid to have a healthy dessert now and then, or even an unhealthy dessert sometimes. Balance. Number two, the French respect mealtimes. Mealtimes are a special experience, time to have fun together, with food for the soul. One of the things we can do is make our tables beautiful. It doesn't have to be something that takes a long time, but just adding some pretty paper napkins, or some twinkle lights, or flowers in an arrangement on the table, a pretty tablecloth, maybe put on some music, so that immediately the family knows it's time to wind down and relax and enjoy the mealtime. It's not going to be a quick meal, it's going to be a time enjoyed together, where we can enjoy each other's company and savor what we're eating. Number three, being social. The French don't eat in isolation or eat while watching TV. It's a time of fellowship when everyone gets together to bond over the meal. In the social time, they expect to have good conversation and laughter. One of the things that helps here, if we're struggling to get the conversation going, we like to use conversation starters. So like a little card that has an idea on it of what you could talk about, a funny memory our family had together, or if you were able to fly for a day, where would you fly to and what would you do? Or if you could meet any famous person from history, who would it be and why? There's lots of fun examples. So I have some conversation starter cards for you in a PDF that you can print and cut out and keep in your dining room. To find them, go to familyfoodformoms.com/conversation. familyfoodformoms.com/conversation. Then you can download the cards and leave me your email address so I can keep in touch. So having these good conversations helps us to be social, and it actually helps our bodies to relax, to enjoy our food, and to digest our food well, and to utilize the nutrients in the best way possible. Far more than when we gulp down our food in isolation. So helping each other to relax, to talk, to be close, to laugh, to enjoy the time is really helpful. Number four, they eat nutritious food. They eat a balanced diet and have good variety. They're not afraid of desserts. They focus on simple fare, not processed food, but food that is healthy. Like I said last time, you don't need to eat gluten-free if you're eating broth with vegetables and meat, or delicious fish, cheese, fruit dessert. Chicken soup is one of the most famous remedies for sickness, and it's basically broth with meat and vegetables in it. And almost everybody loves it. So making sure that our food is nutritious and having good variety. Sometimes we get stuck in a rut and we eat the same things all the time. Focusing on food that is freshly picked and cooking from scratch. So this is combining number 4 and 5. The French cook their food from scratch at night. There's no takeout. I totally understand when we need a break sometimes and we do need to get takeout, but 9 times out of 10, it's great to try and do something nutritious at home. So fresh vegetables that are steamed are so delicious, like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, carrots, corn on the cob, butternut, zucchini. These are all very yummy steamed. And then we can add a little bit of salt and butter afterwards, and then they'll have the highest amount of nutrients in them. And they go so well with the meal. And then the fish or the meat, cooking a whole piece of meat or a whole chicken is so much better than chicken breasts. Those are fine sometimes, but trying to have the healthiest form of meat. Free-range meat, roasts are a good option, and it doesn't have to be boring. The French have some of the best sauces, like a good hollandaise sauce or a bordelaise sauce, or I don't even know some of the other names. Even just lemon butter or some good broth with a bit of potato starch in it to thicken it makes a lovely sauce. Fish, wild caught fish, is also very nutritious. And then including fruit with the meal. Maybe some healthy bread. We wouldn't like to have too much starch, like not rice and bread in the same meal, but having a bit of good carbohydrates is so healthy. So every night, the French just cook the simple meal together, maybe a thick vegetable soup, and maybe some fish and vegetables, and then maybe some fruit with a bit of cream, or a peach cobbler, or an apple crumble, or some canned fruit with some whipped cream or freshly made custard. A fulfilling meal, perhaps some cheese at the end, or cheese and sourdough crackers. We do want to find the balance between it being too much work and it being fun and good nutritious food. Sometimes the kids helping or simply buying sourdough crackers really helps. Number 6, optimizing digestion. Having good metabolism and eating for good digestion is so helpful. And I think the biggest thing here is sitting down for the meal at the table, not gulping down our food. Practicing eating slowly, chewing well. And a good way to do this is to distract yourself with the other people at the table instead of with your plate of food. So you're there to enjoy the company and eat slowly, and the food is almost an afterthought because you're enjoying being there so much. This helps your body to know, okay, this is time to relax, time to eat, and I can do the work I need to help my body feel good. Being present with our families, our bodies can focus on digesting when we're not stressed. Perhaps having some, for example, long stem broccoli for a first course, and then a nice meat with a little bit of potato on the side for the main course, and then maybe a break or a little walk or just chatting for a while, and then a fruit dessert and some cheese. Nice and simple, but also very interesting and good variety. That helps our bodies to digest our food so much better. Sometimes having a few greens with a little bit of olive oil, that helps with digestion. And herbal tea helps to extend the meal and to have that time to chat to each other instead of jumping up as soon as the food is finished. Also, the food in Europe is non-GMO, so trying to find food that is non-GMO is helpful to us. The grains are much more easily digestible, so perhaps you can look and see what kind of grains you can find. Organic grains are much better. Spelt is good, better than wheat. Doesn't have to be gluten-free, but sourdough is much better. Also, making sourdough bread with freshly ground grain is quite a mission. If you're somebody who loves doing that, that's awesome, but I struggle, so I just buy my sourdough. And then we have spelt that we grind freshly ground for muffins and things that are easy to bake at home, and it makes them extra delicious because of the richness of the grain and then extra nutritious. Number 7, the portions are much smaller. So having more courses helps you to do smaller portions because you know that there are other courses coming. Taking less is a good thing. Teaching your family, your kids to take some now and then only take more if they'd like to after they've eaten. Often they'll find they don't need to. Eating more slowly and having a break between courses gives your body time to let the food settle and to know that you're actually full. If we eat fast, then we're far more likely to eat more because our body doesn't realize that we're actually full. And if you eat just one big course, it's also easier to eat more. Number 8, walks and walking. The French do a lot of walking, even during the day, walking to the market, walking to work and home again, walking out just to see people in the evenings. So having a walk between courses or after meals is so helpful. Often we're in too much of a hurry to do this, but it helps our bodies to digest our food and it helps our blood sugar not to go up so much after eating. Then we won't feel so tired afterwards. And of course, the fresh air and our bodies moving always gives us a boost. Even if it's not easy to walk around at night where you are, you could walk around in your garden as a family or play a little game in the yard just before eating dessert or after. Give your body some time. Obviously, you shouldn't do strenuous exercise after eating, but walking is great. Playing with the ball is great. Number 9, the French eat a huge variety of foods and they're not afraid to try new things. So many French people eat so many different things and the children are not afraid to try new things either. They're not fussy. Right from when they're young, they learn to eat proper food, not kids' food or so-called kids' food like chips and sausages and burgers. Real food. I'll do an episode on this, but school lunches are quite amazing in France. Children are fed often 3-course meals with real vegetables, real meat, real good stuff. Number 10, they eat local in season. So maybe finding out if there are any fresh markets nearby that have in-season food. We're so used to just buying whatever we see in the supermarket, which is often imported and less nutritious and usually more sprayed with pesticides because of having to travel distances. So finding organic food that is freshly picked from a farm or a delivery service or a fresh market is great. Often these days, the delivery service will supply food once a week from a local farm. And then it supports them and it's much healthier eggs, much healthier dairy, much healthier bread and vegetables and fruit. So see what you can find from local farmers, supporting those places that work so hard. It's great for them and great for you. It's harder to buy every day what we're going to eat like the French often do. But if we can at least do it every few days, get more fresh stuff and less packaged stuff from the supermarket, then we've already done a lot to help. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you're inspired, not overwhelmed. Think about the ways that you'd like to apply this and what works in your family. Let me describe what we call a French meal in our house. So we would plan that it would be an evening that would be longer than usual. We wouldn't try to do anything afterwards. We would then set the table beautifully, involving the children, the young ones, could fetch some flowers from the garden. We could use our gold underplates, fancy napkins, beautiful glasses. We'd put some sparkling water in the fridge. And then I'd have some vegetables in the steamer, like maybe some zucchini ribbons, and then put a bit of basil pesto on top. And then we'd serve that on a small plate on top of the dinner plate. We'd set the table, of course, with candles and water jugs, getting the children involved doing that. So then the first course would be the zucchini in a little pile, looking nice. We'd have a little music on and we would talk to each other while we ate that. Then a couple of the kids would help clear while the others stayed to chat. I'd check on the main course, which would maybe be meat in a crock pot or in the oven keeping warm that I'd made in advance. And I would serve that, perhaps a lamb stew or a piece of corned beef that needs slicing or a roast chicken with gravy. So we would do those things slowly together. Then we would have a vegetable, maybe a different one like butternut squash or a potato side. The kids, especially the younger ones again, would be the waiters and waitresses, bringing the plates to the table or bringing a serving tray for people to help themselves from, like in Downton Abbey. Then we would perhaps go to the sitting room for a while and maybe play a game or chat. So it's more like an event. It's not every day, but it's a special evening that we know we're putting aside for a French meal. Then we do something fun together and come back to the table for dessert, maybe a peach cobbler or some canned pears with cream. We'd enjoy those and maybe some conversation starter topics and talk for a while. Sometimes we use a fun quiz and test each other. Then we'd end with a few slices of different kinds of cheese on a platter, perhaps with some sourdough crackers. But sometimes it's nice to just do the cheese, then it's not quite so heavy. So everyone helps themselves to a little bit of cheese or a dinner chocolate to end off. And we'd feel so relaxed and close and just enjoy it. So think about what you'd like to do. Don't worry about doing a whole lot. Just choose one or two things that you feel would enhance your family dinners and your family's health and what you can learn from the French about food and eating. And you can see the show notes on our website, familyfoodformoms.com. Thanks for joining me and have a lovely week.